It's 2 a.m. You're staring at a screen that hasn't lit up in 6 hours. You know you should sleep. You know you should move on. You know logically that this person isn't giving you what you need. They are inconsistent, they are distant, and they are, by every definition, emotionally unavailable. And yet, your heart is racing. Your mind is looping through every conversation you've ever had with them looking for clues. You are obsessed. Not with a soulmate, but with a ghost. Why is it that the people who treat us the best often feel boring, while the ones who treat us like an option feel like an addiction? Why does your brain mistake distance for depth? Tonight, we aren't just talking about bad dating advice. We are going into the laboratory of the human brain. We are breaking down the 10 psychological traps that make emotionally unavailable people the most intoxicating drug on earth. By the end of this video, the spell will be broken. You will understand exactly why you've been chasing a phantom, and how to finally stop. The dopamine casino, intermittent reinforcement. To understand why they feel intoxicating, we have to look at a famous experiment from the 1950s by B.F. Skinner. Skinner placed pigeons in a box with a lever. In the first box, every time the pigeon pressed the lever, it got a seed. The pigeon ate until it was full, then it stopped. It was satisfied. But in the second box, Skinner changed the rules. Sometimes the lever gave a seed. Sometimes it gave nothing. The reward was unpredictable. Do you know what happened? The pigeons became obsessed. They pressed the lever more frequently and more frantically, and even when the seed stopped entirely, they kept pressing it for hours. This is called intermittent reinforcement. This is exactly what is happening in your brain when you deal with an unavailable person. When someone is consistently kind, your dopamine levels are stable. It's healthy, but it's not exciting. But when someone is hot and cold, when they give you a beautiful, deep night of conversation on Tuesday and then ignore your texts until Sunday, they have turned your relationship into a slot machine. That Sunday text isn't just a text. It's a jackpot. Your brain releases a massive flood of dopamine because the reward was uncertain. You aren't in love with the person. You are addicted to the hit of their rare attention. The Zeigarnik effect, the unfinished story. There is a phenomenon in psychology known as the Zeigarnik effect. It states that the human brain remembers uncompleted tasks or interrupted stories much better than completed ones. Your brain hates a cliffhanger. An emotionally available person is a finished book. They tell you they like you. They show up. They are a known quantity. An unavailable person is a mystery novel with the last 10 pages missing. Because they don't reveal their true feelings, your brain stays in a loop, trying to solve them. What did that look mean? Why did they pull away after we had such a good time? Because you don't have an answer, your mind cannot file the memory away. You think about them 24/7 not because they are the one, but because your brain is trying to solve a puzzle that has no solution. You are stuck in a cognitive loop, and we mistake that mental exhaustion for soulmate-level intensity. The projection canvas, the illusion of depth. Nature abhors a vacuum. When an emotionally unavailable person gives you silence, you don't hear nothing. You hear whatever you want to hear. Psychologists call this projective identification. Because they aren't telling you their story, you write one for them. You see their emotional coldness and you imagine it's a protective shell because they were hurt in the past. You see their lack of commitment and you imagine they are waiting for the right person to change them. You aren't falling in love with a human being. You are falling in love with a character you wrote in your own head. Think about it. In the early stages of a connection with an unavailable person, what do you actually know about them? Usually very little. The intoxication you feel is actually you falling in love with your own imagination. They are just the blank screen you are projecting your movie onto. The ego trap, the exception rule. There is a dangerous thought that many of us carry in our subconscious. If I can make this person love me, it proves I am worthy. When someone is available and kind, winning their love feels easy. And to our ego, easy has low value. But when someone is walled off, the ego sees a mountain to climb. We tell ourselves that if we can be the one to crack the code, we will finally have proof that we are special. We want to be the exception to the rule. We think, he's never been in a relationship longer than 3 months, but I'll be the one he stays for, or she doesn't open up to anyone but she'll open up to me. This isn't about love. This is a quest for validation. The more they withhold, the more valuable their approval becomes. You aren't chasing a partner, you are chasing a gold medal for your self-esteem. But the tragedy is that even if you win, the person you want is someone who isn't capable of loving you back. Attachment hunger, the anxious avoidant dance. For many of us, the attraction to unavailable people is hardwired in our childhood. This is the anxious avoidant trap. If you grew up with a parent who was inconsistent, someone who was loving 1 minute and critical or absent the next, your nervous system learned that love equals anxiety. When you meet a stable, available person, your nervous system doesn't recognize the feeling. It feels boring or flat. You think there's no spark. But when you meet someone who triggers your anxiety, someone who makes your stomach flip and your heart race because you aren't sure if they like you, your brain says, this is it. This is passion. It's not passion. It's a trauma bond. You are mistaking the activation of your attachment system for the activation of your heart. To break the intoxication, you have to realize that a spark is often just your body sounding a fire alarm. The sunk cost fallacy in the fantasy bond. Why is it so hard to leave once you realize they are unavailable? Enter the sunk cost fallacy. This is a psychological bias where we continue an endeavor only because we have already invested so much into it. You think, I've spent a year trying to get them to open up. If I leave now, all that work was for nothing. You stay because you're waiting for the payoff. And while you wait, you live in a fantasy bond. You aren't living in the reality of the cold texts and the lonely Friday nights. You are living in the 5% of the time when things were good. You are living in the potential of who they could be. But potential doesn't hold your hand at a funeral. Potential doesn't help you move apartments. Potential is a ghost, and you cannot build a life with a ghost. The way out, rewiring the attraction. So, how do you break the addiction? How do you stop finding toxic, intoxicating? The first step is cognitive reframing. Stop calling the anxiety a spark. Start calling it a warning. When your heart starts racing because they haven't texted you back, don't say, I must really love them. Say, my nervous system is being triggered by an unreliable person. Second, you must learn to tolerate boredom. Stable love often feels boring in the beginning to someone used to chaos. But that boredom is actually peace. It's the sound of a nervous system that isn't under attack. Third, judge people based on their consistent actions, not their hidden potential. If they aren't available today, they aren't available. Period. The mystery isn't deep. The distance isn't a challenge. It's just a lack of capacity. You deserve a love that doesn't make you feel like a detective. You deserve a love that doesn't feel like a slot machine. Because the most intoxicating thing in the world isn't a person who ignores you, it's the version of yourself that is finally free from the need to chase them. Sync your mind. Break the cycle. If this deep dive helped you see your situation more clearly, let us know in the comments. And if you're ready to choose peace over passion, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.